to punish Iraq for allegedly having weapons of mass destruction, and they said that they would keep the sanctions on Iraq until all weapons of mass destruction were confirmed to have been destroyed. Now, it appears that they were actually destroyed by the end of '96 or '97, but the United States had an ulterior agenda, which was they were not going to let go of the sanctions until Saddam was out of power. But what had happened was, by the year 2000, while Bill Clinton was still in office, the international loathing for sanctions had become intense. 2 million people had died from sanctions. Between 1.7 million and 2.2 million had died. And the international community was violating the sanctions. The German pilots were and Jordanian pilots were and actually it was coming from all over Europe. Germany was the first, and they had pilots fly humanitarian supplies over the air through sovereign airspace and land at Baghdad airport, and then a whole bunch of other countries followed suit, and they were all like, we're not going to do this. This is wrong. It is immoral. It is a crime against humanity, and we recognize that. And so at that point, the CIA, I wanted to do it, but at that point, the CIA knew that they were losing control of the situation and that they better step in and do something. And I wanted to end the sanctions, so I was glad the pilots were doing this. But the CIA was very, very expedient. It was politically expedient. They were losing control of the situation. They wanted to take back their power. I was accused of several things. One, I was accused of acting as an unregistered Iraqi agent because I had delivered a letter to my cousin, who was the chief of staff to George Bush, telling him that the war in Iraq would be catastrophic, and begging him and outlining several of the consequences, like democracy would throw power to Islamic fundamentalists, and there would be a rise of terrorist attacks, and the Iraqi people hated the sanctions, and they would hate America for having done all this, and if they could get their hands on America, it would just be a very ugly, brutal occupation, and they'd fight us. That was my letter. I went to jail for that. And they also accused me of they called it unlawful financial transactions. I was accused, I'm not making this up, of allegedly eating 3 lunches, I'm not making this up, 3 lunches with Iraqi diplomats totaling $92.92. We have the receipts. And they called that a felony. I was accused there were secret charges against me, which we have deduced. We were never allowed to know what they were. See, on the Patriot Act, let me just tell you a little bit, because I think this is a good opportunity to explain. When I was indicted, under the Patriot Act, they're allowed to have secret charges and secret evidence and secret grand jury testimony. This is very much, the Patriot Act is modeled on the pretty much verbatim, in many page upon page, identical to the old communist criminal, let's see, I guess it's the Soviet, let's see, there's a long name for it, the Soviet Criminal Act, which set up the KGB apparatus and allowed people to make accusations against their neighbors without identifying themselves. And it set up the whole Gulag system. And the Patriot Act is modeled on that Soviet law, the Soviet Criminal Act. And it's almost verbatim to what that is. So, I mean, this is a really scary, scary law. But I was accused of possibly, in the secret charges, we believe the secret charges was that I received a book from the Iraqis that was a book on depleted uranium, and that was considered classified because if we were to tell American soldiers about the health risks and the rise of cancer rates and birth defects, then it might demoralize American soldiers. Okay? And another thing was that Saddam's government tried, I'm not making this up, another secret charge was that we believe, because I know what I was doing in the periods when of these they'd have a date, and I would know approximately what I was doing on that date. And so another one was that the Iraqis tried to give the Bush administration several $100 $100,000 in campaign contributions, so that during the presidential election, because they wanted to show that they wanted to be friends with America. And I had reported that to my defense intelligence handler. He was like, holy shit, you got to tell the Iraqis not to do this. You got to make them not do this. And because it reminded them all of the Asian fundraising crisis under Clinton. And he said, don't they watch C-SPAN? Don't they know they're not supposed to do this? And he said, you go back and you tell them that if we find out they gave money to the Republican Party in this campaign, we're going to bomb them. We're going to, but see, at this point, Iraq had been bombed so many times, you couldn't threaten them with bombing anymore because they'd already been attacked. How are you going to impress on people who, oh, you're going to bomb us again? Okay, sure, so.